Ernest Hemingway Ernest Hemingway survived through anthrax, malaria, skin cancer, diabetes, 2 consecutive plane crashes, a ruptured spleen, hepatitis, a ruptured kidney, a fractured skull, and a crushed vertebrae. According to the article Ernest Hemingway Biography, written in 2014 and edited by Biography.com editors. He was no doubt a risk-taker both in life and literature. Famous author of A Farewell to Arms, Ernest Hemingway is the ultimate macho man who has influenced more writers than any other American author in history. For this reason, I'm going to explain to you today about how this ordinary boy became an extraordinary writer, beginning with his early life, adult author life, and finally his legacy on literature. First, I will start off by telling you about the early life of a boy named Ernest who fell in love with literature and the great outdoors. Hemingway's happy childhood sculpted a bright future for him. According to John Super, editor of the 50s in America, Ernest was the first child born to Clarence and Grace Hemingway on July 21, 1899 in Oak Park, Illinois. Growing up, this family spent much of their time in northern Michigan, and this is where the macho man developed a great love for the outdoors. He enjoyed fishing, hunting, and camping in the woods. During high school, he was very involved in sports and showed a particular talent in his English classes. After high school, he did not attend college. Instead, he went to work as a journalist for the Kansas City Star. Here he gained experience as well as the signature and formal prose style of writing. As reported in the article, Ernest Hemingway Biography, when he was 20 years old, he began working for the Toronto Star and met his first wife, Hadley, in Chicago, and the couple was soon married and moved to Paris, where he then began working for the Star. The couple had their first child together, a boy they would name John. Now that you have an idea of what his early life was like, let us continue on and talk about his life as an adult and a blooming author. His professional life as an author took off as he started publishing books, and his personal life twisted through a handful of marriages and divorces. In Paris, Ernest's popularity flourished when he had the opportunity to meet many famous authors and artists, including James Joyce, F. Scott Fitzgerald, and Pablo Picasso. As recorded by Kurt Kurnett in 2016 in the academic journal, So Now We Are 35, Imaginary Letters and a Milestone. He wrote his first novel, The Sun Also Rises in 1925, and soon after, he and Hadley divorced, due in part to his affair with his soon-to-be second wife, Pauline, as noted by Kurt Kurnett. And the couple were soon expecting their first child, a boy, Patrick. And the couple went on to have 2 more boys, Gregory and Jack. But the couple was soon divorced after Hemingway returned home from Spain, where he was working during the Spanish Civil War as a reporter. He then married his Spain companion, Martha. But after 5 years in his third marriage, he divorced Martha when he met his 4th and final wife, Mary. As noted by Clifton Bryan in 2003 in the Handbook of Death and Dying, he died on July 2, 1961 by committing suicide at his home in Idaho. He had suffered from depression and bipolar disorder, which was treated with electroshock therapy. Not so ironically, Hemingway killed himself in the same manner his suicidal father did, by shooting himself in the head. And now for my third and final point, I will discuss Ernest's legacy on literature. Ernest's legacy in literature has influenced many American writers. He developed a very iconic writing style. The following testimony about Hemingway's writings comes from Hilary Kovar Justice, an associate professor in the English department and director of undergraduate studies at Illinois State University. Her article, The Constellation of Critique, Food, Culture, and Civilization in Ernest Hemingway, written in 2012, reports Hemingway's writings reflect an instinctive consciousness of definitive links between food, culture, and civilization, links that played out ever more theoretical complexity and sophistication as he progressed as a writer. He is the definition of what it means to live like a writer. As noted in Ernest Hemingway Biography, he was a big game hunter in Africa, a deep-sea fisherman in Florida, and a bullfighter in Spain. As noted by Edward Riley in 2000 in the article Hemingway Ernest Miller, Hemingway was the first to include sports, more particularly baseball, in his novels, which was questioned by many critics at the time who thought baseball was not worth literary attention. He includes baseball star Joe DiMaggio in The Old Man and the Sea because he liked his strong, modest personality. and in 1953 he won the Pulitzer Prize for The Old Man and the Sea. And consequently, in 1954, he won the Nobel Prize in Literature for The Old Man and the Sea as well, according to Super. To put into perspective of how special this accomplishment was, as reported by NobelPrize.org in Facts on the Nobel Prize in Literature, published in 2014, the Nobel Prize in Literature has been awarded 108 times to 112 individuals, from 1901 to 2014. 90 of the prizes went to males, 14 to females, and 4 were shared between individuals. I will now be concluding my speech about Ernest Hemingway. After listening to my speech about this macho man, I hope you remember his outdoorsy and studious personality as a child, his becoming of age as an adventurous man and unique author, and finally his inventiveness in American literature. As an extremely courageous soul throughout his entire life, here's a quote that Hemingway said and wholeheartedly sums up his experience on Earth. He said, "When you stop doing things for fun, you might as well be dead."